guys, thank you for tuning into my YouTube. This feels a little bit crazy because I said I would never YouTube again. I YouTubed 6 years ago and it was super fun. I had a couple of videos. They were all fairly outrageous. It was just me speaking to the camera and it was fun to see people's reaction, but I was just such a quirkadirk. I don't know, I was really quirky and I still am, and so I kind of have to reel it in sometimes because I forget that when you post stuff on the internet, lots of people can see it. So all of those videos are private, but don't worry, I'll keep this one public. So I am here to talk about my experience in becoming a flight attendant. This was the platform I used to do all the research I needed to do for interviews. And I truly believe YouTube is how I got this job, just because it was such an awesome educational tool. I got to learn from a ton of different YouTubers all the do's and don'ts and how to dress and how to do my makeup. So it was super, super helpful. And I feel like it's only right to pass on the knowledge that I learned to you guys, or to anyone who's just interested in flight attendant life, or anyone who's interested in becoming a flight attendant and they want to know the best way to go about it. Being a flight attendant has actually been on my heart for a while. The first time I ever flew was when I was in 3rd grade. I went with my cousins and aunt and uncles to Disney World. It was one of the most memorable trips ever because Disney World is just this, amazing place. It doesn't even feel real. But also because it was my first time flying. I had a single mom. I never dreamed of even going on a plane. Going on a plane felt like a really rich person thing. And so it was one of those things I never imagined doing. But I remember vividly being on the plane and the flight attendants were so nice and they seemed so glamorous and cool. And so I thought, I could do that someday. Maybe I will do that someday. I then graduated from college. I was applying to all of these office jobs that just seemed so boring. I'm not an office type person. I like being active. I like being engaged with people. So eventually I figured, okay, let's go back to the original plan. Let me apply to be a flight attendant. When I was on YouTube, a lot of YouTubers said, just apply to a bunch of different airlines and see who gets back to you. I don't actually agree with that advice though, because it's kind of like being on Tinder and just swiping left to a bunch of dudes. If you're not actually interested in the person, why even engage with them? And I feel like the same is with airlines. I think you should only apply to airlines that you'd want to work for or airlines that you see yourself working for. So I chose 6 airlines that I was really excited about and that they had values that I could stand behind and just companies that I've flown with and I've liked. So I applied to 6 of them and I heard back from 4, which is pretty good. Sometimes you'll apply to 6 and you won't hear back from any. Sometimes you'll apply to 6 and you'll hear back from everyone. I think there's mixed experiences, but I do know that with the right tips and hints, you can not only hear back from almost all of them, but you can get hired as well. So the first step is applying. So the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to simply go on the airline's websites and apply on their careers page. It's just easier to go straight to the source. So find the airlines that you'd be excited to work for and apply directly through their website. There is also sites that list all of the open cabin crew jobs, and I'll list that below because it is super helpful just seeing who's all hiring. But I know for me personally, I just go on the websites. Some airlines will be hiring for months at a time. Some will only be hiring for days at a time. You get so much response. These airlines get so much responses that I think some just don't stay open for very long because after a couple of days they could already have thousands of applicants. So the first step is applying, and then once you apply, hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll hear back. So I applied with all the airlines, the 6 airlines, and I heard back within a couple days for some of them and then a couple months for others. So it can be a very long process. And when you hear back from them, the first step will be a video interview. So this was so nerve-wracking. I remember being nervous because there's something very unnatural about a camera being in front of you recording answers. I know I'm sitting in front of a camera right now, but I'm not like on trial. You know, I'm not being asked questions, so it doesn't feel all that weird. And the even better part is if I say something crazy, I can just, you know, delete it and re-record. But when you do these flight attendant interviews, you do not get to re-record your answers. So the best place to go is go to Glassdoor and look up your airline and see what questions will I be asked in the video interview. Because I know when I was being asked the questions, I already knew what the questions were going to be. So I was pretty prepared. I did not go into it blind. I honestly practiced for days before I even sat down and recorded myself. You'll get an email asking you to do a video interview, and you usually get about 48 to 72 hours to get back to them. So you get a couple days. Some airlines will give you a week to do it, some airlines will give you 2 days. But either way, you have a little bit of time to prepare, and I definitely recommend preparing. And then, even though it is a video interview and you're at home, how you're dressed is super important. For example, this outfit would not be okay. My hair is down, number one, and then also I'm wearing a top that shows way too much skin. You want to dress very conservative. I recommend wearing, for women, I recommend wearing a collared shirt, a solid color, nothing too bright. I think white is a nice color, black is a nice color, any like jewel tone. And then even a blazer over it if you can. I wore a blouse and a blazer. And then for men, again, I don't know a ton about men's fashion to be real, but it should be professional and it should be business professional or like a very high-end business casual. You should definitely have a collared shirt. And then just make sure that you're against a solid background. So I filmed it in a bedroom against a white wall. It wouldn't even, this background would work, but it's still a little distracting. So I would just have a clean background. And then for women, your hair has to be up because you want to look the part. Flight attendants wear their hair up, so your hair should definitely be up if it's longer than your shoulders. I recommend wearing red lipstick for sure, and if it's not red, some type of pink or... Sorry about that, my camera cut off in the last video, so I don't exactly know where I ended, but I was talking about wardrobe for women. So your hair should be up, you should look like a flight attendant. Flight attendants will always have their hair up. If your hair is longer than shoulder length, it should be up. So I had my hair in a low bun, and then also you should have some type of something on your lips. I recommend red lips, but any type of like berry tone or pink would look nice, but just make sure that you have a flattering lipstick color on your lips. And then I recommend stud earrings as well, or I wore pearls. That's what I wore. I wore pearl earrings. And for men, just clean shaven, fresh looking, clean hair. Just nothing that would be distracting and nothing that would look unprofessional. If you have facial piercings, I recommend taking those out because they wouldn't be something you would be able to wear on the plane. So you just want to look natural but put together, if that makes sense. So the next step in the process is then the face-to-face. And I have total faith that if you have an awesome video interview, you will most definitely get a face-to-face. Now this is the nerve-wracking part. This is the part that everyone talks about online because it can be very scary doing group interviews. I know that I really hadn't done a group interview until I did these flight attendant face-to-faces, and as much as they are nerve-wracking, they're tons of fun because you have the potential to meet awesome friends from all over. Actually still keep in contact with some of the people that I've interviewed with, and it's just really fun because you meet these friends that hopefully you'll have forever, and also people that someday you'll be flying with. That's the hope, at least. So during the face-to-face, you will most likely be playing group activities, and then you'll be having one-on-ones, and you'll really have to stand out in a crowd. There is usually about 15 to 30 people at these group interviews, so it is not time to be shy, and it's not time to kind of hide away in any sense, because everyone who made it to this interview has the potential to be a flight attendant. So it's kind of like what makes you better than the next person and what makes you a better candidate than the person next to you. And it could be nothing. You guys could all be the perfect candidates and you could all be hired, but most likely they need you to set yourself apart from everyone else. I am a very introverted person, and I'm actually a fairly shy person too. So group interviews, I just remember being so nervous. Flying out there, I was just so nervous, and I had to kind of give myself this pep talk of, I can do this, I'm made for this job, I'm enough, I'm confident, I'm gonna rock this. You kind of have to fake it till you make it. And I think just being dressed for the part will make you feel confident in your own way. So I got to the airport at 6 a.m. and I quickly went and got a smoothie, and the woman gave me the flight attendant discount, the airport discount. And then when she rang me up, she's like, "You're a flight attendant, right?" And I was like, no, I'm actually not. I'm here for an interview right now. And she's like, "Oh, okay, good luck, but I can't give you the discount anymore." So I was like, well, dang, okay. But yes, it made me feel really good that I looked like a flight attendant, because then I thought, I'm gonna go into this interview and I'm going to kill it. So the interviews tend to start off with a group game, or like a group get to know everyone. So maybe you'll say your name and a fun fact, or you'll play 3 truths and a lie. I have no idea what games you'll play. I think it's best to go to Glassdoor and see what kind of games your airline plays, or what kind of questions they ask. That's the best way to really be prepared. But after the group interview, people will be cut. People will be cut kind of quickly. And so you don't want to be cut, right? You want to go on to the next level. So make sure you're not cut, but really making sure you just have to give it your all. And then after the group interview, it'll be a one-on-one. And it could be a one-on-one, or it could be you and 3 people interviewing you, or 1 and 2 people interviewing you. I had one interview that it was 1 and 3 people interviewing me, and then I had one interview where it was one-on-one, and one that it was 1-on-2. So I've kind of had multiple scenarios, and they were all a lot of fun because it just felt like a conversation with friends. It did not feel intimidating. The people interviewing you are so nice, and the people you're interviewing with are so nice. I truly think it's some of the nicest people I've ever met, and none of it feels fake, and none of it lacks genuineness. It's just, they're nice people looking to hire nice people. So if you're a nice person, if you're a friendly person, if you're social, you're gonna do awesome. And so they could ask you to read a script. You could read like a flight attendant announcement, or they could ask you, what would you do if, a customer did this on a plane, or what have you done when an employee wasn't carrying their weight? So there's lots of questions you could be asked, and I definitely recommend taking any negative question and turning it into something positive, because that's kind of the art of interviewing. Make every negative thing seem positive. So that is the next step then in a face-to-face, and you could be hired on the spot that day, or you could be hired a week later. They could send you an email. I was hired on the spot for 2 airlines, but then another one I got an email after the fact. So it's kind of hard to know. I've read on Glassdoor like, oh, this airline always hires on the spot. If you don't get hired on the spot, you didn't get the job. I don't necessarily think that's true, but it is the case for some airlines. So yes, in my next video, I will talk about how to prepare for a flight attendant interview. I will tell you where I got my outfits for the interviews, and how I did my hair, and how I did my makeup. Yeah, I'm really excited about this adventure, and I hope you will subscribe and join me. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.